Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way Morning Briefing Live. I'm Tony Haggerty at Haggerty10 on the Twitter handle, but you know that off by heart by now. Or if you don't, you should. There you go, if you're a regular viewer and contributor. And I'm joined today by Ryan McGinlay at the Ryan McGinlay on the Twitter handle. That's the new one you need to get to know. Follow young Ryan on there if you want to. Follow myself as well if you want to. There you go. And it's Tuesday, May the 23rd. Like Celtic, Ryan, we never stop. We keep going through, coming up to the end of the season, but we'll still be here 10 o'clock-ish. Excuse the tardiness. You're all that here, you know what I mean? Just don't mirrors the way they used to, as I've said before, and kind of perfected the hedge, dragged through a man backwards look every day when we wake up, Ryan. But there you have it.
Love it.
Yeah, love it. Cool. Now, ladies and gentlemen, every day we ask you to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. So, as you can see, running along the strap line along the bottom, if you subscribe to the Celtic Way, you can support top quality journalism covering the club you love. Myself, Ryan and Aidan endeavour to produce that, and it's all for the click of a button, and it will cost you the princely sum of £12 for a year of unlimited access to everything that we write on the website. It's our best bargain to date so far, our best ever subscription offer. So there you go. You can have a look at that. Hit that button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. It'll cost you £12 for a year of unlimited access to everything that we do on the website. Now, guys, want you involved today as well. Going to have a bit of a Q&A. So if you've got any questions for myself and Ryan, we'll endeavour to answer them honestly and humorously if we can. So there you have it. We'll try to get Ryan baptism of fire first Q&A session. Ryan, I'm sure they'll come thick and fast. Anyway, how you doing, fella? You all good?
Yeah, things are all good. Looking forward to the game tomorrow. Even though all these games are effectively dead rubbers to the end of the season, till the cup final, you're still looking forward to going or watching Celtic in whatever way that you can, whether that's if you're going to the games or if you're watching it on the telly. I would say it's on the telly, but it's actually on a pay-per-view stream, so I'll need to buy that out and watch it for tomorrow's game. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it either way.
Now, Celtic are always in the news, Ryan, and one man who's been in the news overnight is Callum McGregor, and his former manager Neil Lennon touting him to be a manager when he hangs up his boots. And it says he's got that leadership qualities, and he's kind of comparing him to Scott Brown, who's gone into management with Fleetwood Town, and he's doing rather well there. Now, we've exhausted our list of superlatives for Callum McGregor on this particular show, but he really is the man, isn't he? He's the beating heart and the fulcrum of that Celtic team. You saw it again on Saturday when he dragged a jaw out the fire with a wonderful goal, steps up to the plate more often than not. And here's what Neil Lennon said about him. He had a great role model in Bruni, and the pair of them were as thick as thieves for a long time. Callum's a player of high intelligence and great discipline, and he's as professional as you can get. He's a manager's dream, really. Callum was almost groomed for the captaincy. He and Bruni played together for a long time and were very successful, but he's a totally different personality from his predecessor. Bruni is more outgoing and more feisty, whereas Callum is cold, but he reads the game brilliantly and is very good tactically. On top of that, he would always be one of the first picks. He's had a stellar career so far. There's a real maturity about him for Scotland as well as Celtic. Steve Clarke is delighted with him, and he's coming into his peak years. At 29, you'll see the absolute best of him in the next 3 or 4 seasons. He's at the perfect age and better than he's ever been physically, and he has the experience to back it up now. He's always in great shape and he's hardly ever injured, so he's available to play just about every week. Plus, he could continue like that for another 5 or 6 years. And if Celtic beat Inverness in the Scottish Cup final, then they'll win 20 major honours, and I think he'll go on and set the record for the most decorated player. He's also on the cusp of 5 domestic trebles, Ryan, which no footballer in world football has ever achieved. And Neil sort of saying there, he's management material. I guess it's just a natural progression, but I want to enjoy him as a player, first and foremost, Ryan. for the years that he has left. I've enjoyed watching him up until now, and I hope to be watching him for a few years more.
Yeah, I've enjoyed watching him as well, and I've enjoyed watching his evolution as a player from a sort of box-to-box midfielder into that sort of deeper number 6 role. I didn't expect him to make that role change almost 2 years ago when Ange Postecoglou came in, but he's taken to it like a duck to water. I think he is the metronome in the side. He keeps us ticking. He keeps us going throughout the game. I've got to be honest, I didn't think he was having a good game until he scored that goal against St Mirren at the weekend. But I think that shows the character of the player to sort of drag the team out when we were getting beat to get a draw. And even you could see that in his post-match interview that he was annoyed with a draw. And that is the sort of winning mentality that I was talking about yesterday. Yeah. He embodies that. He is so used to winning. He didn't take losing that league title a couple of years ago well at all. And I think he's been on a revenge tour ever since. And he's like, that is not happening again. But what I would say about Callum McGregor, and I think this is important, is that we need somebody in that position to deputise for him at times as well. If we want the best Callum McGregor, he cannot be playing 60 games a season, despite how good that is for the team, or despite how good that is for results. It's maybe not good for the team because you're going to eventually see wear and tear with Callum McGregor. We can't have the same thing happening to Callum McGregor that did happen to Scott Brown in his last season, because you did see the notable wear and tear on him because of so many games. I just want us to effectively manage Callum McGregor's games so that when he does step onto that pitch, he's the very best version of himself and that he never burns out, because he is an absolute joy to watch, and I hope that continues in the years to come.
I've said before about all his goals and all the things he's did, and he took to that captaincy like, as you say, a duck to water, and he's been fantastic. But my Cal McGregor moment will live in me forever is that run at Ibrox when Celtic went 1 down to Aaron Ramsey's goal in 3 minutes, and within 7 minutes they were level because he just decided to go on a mazy, and it was because of that run which caused the consternation, and Tom Rodgers equalised, and you saw the celebration after it. It was very muted, and the reason it was muted was because Celtic hadn't started well at all, and Callum McGregor was like, right, we're back in it, let's get back to what we do best. And that for me just typified his role as Celtic captain, and I was just like, do you know what, you'll do for me. He's always done for me because I think he's a wonderful player and he stepped up to the plate in big games, but just that kind of moment epitomised and solidified, and I think cemented him in the hearts and minds of the Celtic supporters, who maybe were thinking that he might not have been captain material. But my goodness, that day at Ibrox just lived long in my memory. I wonder if it lives long in others' memories too. But yeah,
it certainly does.
I think that Callum McGregor, you cannot speak highly enough of Callum McGregor, and we've got a few comments coming in, so I'll read them as we do. Gordon Coney, morning Gordon, spot on from Lenny. Yep, definitely. FS, Lennon called Callum McGregor cold, whereas Bruni was more feisty. That's an interesting insight, it certainly is. Edward Wyavos saying high intelligence, agreed. Pete McGee, he would love a world where Callum McGregor was the Celtic manager carrying on Angie's legacy after the latter stellar 15-year career at Celtic. We can all dream. Pete McGee, B, don't want to say I told you so, but I was on here saying Callum for the captaincy after Scott Brown. You told us so. B, Plunge McNugget saying Callum Mack has been off the ball in recent week as to the rest of the players. Something has been unplugged and needs to be plugged back in. Yeah, so it's...
I agree with that.
Yeah, and Paul, it's time to manage Callum properly, but you might feel he needs to play every minute of every game.
Quite exactly.
Yeah, you save him from himself type thing, yeah. And Andrew Galea, will McGregor's role change next season, Tony? Will he sit in hold position more instead of covering every blade of grass? I just think that's his natural inclination, isn't it? To cover every blade of grass, Ryan. And just one more, PPG, the dip in form is not unique. It's also happened in the past when Martin O'Neill come in and turn us around. Yeah, I agree with that. But I think it's just Callum McGregor's inclination to cover every blade of grass. He is, a machine, Michael Ross. He's a machine. The amount of games he plays is unreal. And Stephen McGrory, morning Steve, how you doing? Brendan Rodgers used to go on about how switched on tactically Callum is. Yeah, I just think he's one of the most intelligent footballers. Spatial awareness, good players always have time on the ball, Ryan. They make time, they make space. And despite Callum McGregor being the linchpin of that team, he always seems to have time and space. He always shows for a pass, whether it's a short one or whatever, and he always seems to have time to pick a pass. And that's what I like about him.
Yeah, me too. I think you get the same for Rio Hatate as well. When he's on the ball, you see that he's got time to sort of dictate the game. Yeah, Callum McGregor's been an absolute joy to watch for Celtic. I think it's got to be pointed out as well, the fact that he didn't automatically make Brendan Rodgers' team when he came into the team. He had to bide his time and wait for an opportunity to arise, because I think it was Callum McGregor and Scott Brown that were fancied at the very beginning. And then I think there was a game that someone got injured. I can't remember exactly. I think it actually was Brown that was injured against Hearts at home. Cal McGregor came in his place and put in a man of the match performance. It always seems as if players sort of make their name against Hearts. It's one of those ones. You've seen that with Rio Hatate, you've seen that with Cal McGregor. Probably seen that as well, going as far back with Benham Kyle, I remember. I think
Ryan Christie did it as well at Murrayfield, didn't he?
He did. These players seem to sort of, especially midfielders, they seem to relish the big occasions against Hearts, because you know what you're going to get against Hearts. You know you're going to get a really, really physical, intense battle, and it's the making of players. So it's the same for Callum McGregor. I would love to see him sort of take his steps into management once his career is finished at Celtic. But that's me not wishing away his Celtic career. He's in the absolute prime of his career. He's 29 years old. He understands his position. He's the captain. I didn't think he was a captain 2 years ago, but he's proved me wrong. I was the one that was touting Christopher Ayer to be the captain 2 years ago, and look, he's at Brentford now. He's not anywhere near Celtic. So I think he's proved a lot of people wrong, because a lot of people didn't really see him as a captain, but he was growing up in front of us. I think that COVID season in 2021 was the sort of making of him in a way, because it hardened him up and it made him ready for the role. And he was playing with a fire in his belly. And you seen that the season after. He was there. He was the continuation of the previous team into the new team, I would say. And he was one of the players of the year last season. And that goal that you talked about against Rangers, that just epitomises Callum McGregor, that never say die attitude, the we never stop. The way he just runs through a defence and gets the assist for. I think it was the assist. Was it the assist for Tom Rogic's goal?
Tom Rogic, it was a move that led to Tom Rogic's equaliser. Yeah, Jerry O'Rourke has been brilliant. Give him a break. I think that was a couple of people maybe having a. And Les D saying, "Yep, that run for me was a moment when Callum gained the respects of doubters as captain. Was never in doubt, leads by example. Couldn't agree more."
He's not just an effective leader, he's just a very, very good player as well. And I think that should be underlined.
He's an exceptional player, to be honest. You know, Scott Brown is Lenny and McGregor is Paul Lambert. I know you like Paul Lambert, so is that fair enough?
I think so. Yeah, I was a wee bit too young to properly remember Paul Lambert, but through watching clips, Callum McGregor's definitely a good shooter as well. I know he misses a lot of chances, but you've seen that chance at the weekend. He can shoot with the ball as well.
Trust me, Lambert was excellent, the highest calibre of midfielder for Celtic. Lennon knows what it takes to captain Celtic, so when he praises Callum, it's the highest of praise. Yeah, indeed. And so, yeah, I mean, it's Neil Lennon having his say on Callum McGregor. We wax lyrical about Callum McGregor on this particular programme and have done so for a long time. Kevin Dunn, if our captain hadn't stepped up Saturday, we would have lost. Simple as that. Cal Mack gives everything for the team, always has. Yes, at times, like every footballer, it can be off the pace. But he's played an inordinate amount of games in the last 6, 7, 8 years, to be fair to him. So I would never, I don't think I have a criticism of Callum McGregor, I have to be honest.
I think the only player, sorry, what were you saying?
I just don't. I don't. I know people can nitpick and say sometimes he gives cheap possession away and, you know, talk about that goal at Kilmarnock, the one at Ibrox recently, that kind of stuff. But do you know what? If that's all we've got to go on, then, you know, it tells you all you need to know really about Callum McGregor, doesn't it?
Without a doubt. I think the only player to sort of rival Callum McGregor in terms of the minutes played, in terms of his position, would be Pedri at Barcelona. And even this season, you've seen that he's had injury problems. So it shows you that it's unsustainable the amount of games that you play, 60 games playing 90 minutes, because he hardly ever goes off the pitch as a sub. When he plays, he usually plays for 90 minutes. So that's wear and tear for him as a player. So I just want him to be managed just so that we get the optimum Callum McGregor every single time.
McGregor is everything Andrew would want in a captain. He most certainly is. Now, we'll move on to another topic, Ryan, and it's a possible or potential windfall for Celtic in the fact that Kieran Tierney might be leaving Arsenal to go to Newcastle. Aston Villa are also interested as well, isn't that right? And someone else?
Man City too.
City too, yeah. So, yeah, there's supposedly talks of 15% sell-on clauses, is that right?
Yep.
So, yeah, now, if he does leave Arsenal, it's looking increasingly inevitable, isn't it? Then Celtic could be quids in. Always the wisdom of putting in these and setting these sell-on clauses, Ryan, that you further down the line you reap the rewards.
Yeah, absolutely. I think looking at those three teams, just talking about Kieran Tierney as a Celtic fan and as a former Celtic player, I think he would fit in all three of those teams, because you look at the left back position for Man City, that's looking a bit vacant at the moment. Nathan Ake is playing there. Left back for Aston Villa. Let me think. I'm not sure exactly who plays for left back for Aston Villa, but I know that he used to play under Unai Emery. It was Unai Emery that signed him for Arsenal, so Emery knows all about him, and I think he would fit perfectly. But I think the perfect fit for Arsenal out of those three would be Newcastle, just due to the fact that Newcastle's a bit closer to home as well. Watched it. He did talk about it. He said that he'd only been in London, apart from Arsenal games, about 3 or 4 times in his 3 years at Arsenal. So that shows you how much he prefers Scotland. Yeah, I think watching Newcastle last night, obviously they clinched their Champions League spot. It'd be a perfect fit for him. He'd get a good wage, you know that, at Newcastle, and I think he'd just be so dynamic in that Eddie Howe team and that Eddie Howe Newcastle team. So yeah, I think out of those three for him, Newcastle would be the best fit, because they're a team very much on the rise and they'd be playing under a good manager in Eddie Howe. So yeah, I just hope he gets the best possible move, and I just hope that he gets game time every week, because seeing him on the bench, it annoys me, and it annoys me from a Scotland perspective as well, because he's the sort of player that should be playing every single week. He's such a talent. He's such a great left back, and just as a Celtic fan, I want to see Kieran Tierney do well. He's one of our own, and I do want to see him push on in his career.
Yeah, Gordon Coney comes in. Celtic have the windfall bragging rights. Bragging rights being the buzzword of the season. My ball. Kieran Tierney has green and white blood in his veins. Good luck to him wherever he goes. Turnbull saying, hope Kieran Tierney goes to Newcastle as opposed to any other team. How will play him? And he also from the bench says he loved Kieran Tierney. And Robert Highland saying what you're saying, Tierney's far too good to be sitting on a bench at any team. Totally agree with that. And Turnbull, Newcastle fans are more passionate.
They certainly are.
So, and yeah, so I think out of all those three teams that have been linked, I think most Celtic fans want him to go to Newcastle, where he has every chance of playing. And David Holmes says I want Kieran Tierney to come home because he's never been replaced. there you go. And I don't think he's ever ruled out coming back to Celtic. I think he wants to finish his career at Celtic. So I would say maybe in a few years' time, probably come back when Callum McGregor's the manager of Celtic. There you go, Ryan.
Yeah, he'd come back. I think he'd come back as a Celtic captain. I know he took on that role before. I remember him wearing the armband at home. Was it the same game that he scored? He wore the armband against Kilmarnock?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Oh, what an absolute screamer. Absolutely loved Kieran Tierney as a player. So I wouldn't say he was one of my favourite players growing up, because I was already grown up at that point. So I do remember him very, very clearly. But yeah, he was the embodiment of the Celtic support in that team. He was the heartbeat at that point, and he was an absolute joy to watch. Too good for the Scottish League, I would say. And when he did get his move to Arsenal, I thought it was well deserved. As disappointed as I was, and as difficult as it was to replace him, I still think he has done relatively well down south. He got the FA Cup for Arsenal. I remember he played quite a big role in getting that, and they then Man City sort of close this season with the Premier League. So yeah, I think if he did leave Arsenal, he'd be. I'm not sure if he'd be a sort of a fan favourite, but I think he has given his all for Arsenal, and I think he should just leave for the betterment of his own career, because it seems as if Zinchenko is the number one there going forward.
Yeah, Gordon Coney coming in saying, "Do you imagine Celtic get Newcastle in the Champions League group?"
The thing is, we probably won't, because we'll both be top 4 teams, because Newcastle don't have a coefficient.
Yeah, because they've not been in it for 20 years. So
the last time they played in Europe was the Europa League under Alan Pardew. I remember that because I used to watch them on Thursday nights with Demba Ba up front. So it's just wee things that you remember. But it's good to have a team like Newcastle back in the Champions League, because they'll bring the noise.
Yeah, they'll bring something special to it. Yeah, indeed. Now, guys, get your questions coming in. If you want myself and Ryan to answer any of your questions, Helen Feeks coming in, Kieran Tierney, far too good to be sitting on any bench. Yep, I think lots of people are agreeing with that, Helen. If you want us to answer any questions, but obviously building up to Hibs and Celtic tomorrow night, we'll do our predicted 11s, but we'll make that available from tomorrow.
I saw that there was some chat in the comment section about David Turnbull. I'll see if I can pick up any of the comments on there. But it was quite interesting that he didn't get on the park on Saturday, especially when we needed a goal, because it was 2-1 at the time, and then 2 each, obviously. Ian McGuigan's just saying a bit of a mystery about Turnbull. I think it's quite simple with the Turnbull sort of scenario. I think he'll go in the summer. I wrote about this yesterday. I looked at his stats season upon season. I think he will go in the summer. I think a year left on his deal. He's not getting in the Scotland team at the moment. I think much like Kieran Tierney in a bigger sort of level, or at sort of lesser level for Turnbull, he's got to leave for the betterment of his career, where he's going to get game time for his international aspirations and his club aspirations.
Yeah. Jill Bill says Turnbull should have got a run out, and I put the link to your article that's appeared on the Celtic website today, Celtic website. I put a link in there, guys. You can have a read at that. And Andrew Gallia saying, has Turnbull been told to find another club?
I think so. I do genuinely think so.
Yeah, possibly. And Michael Ross saying, have to say Eddie Howe's done a good job. He has done a good job. He
certainly has. Yeah. And the thing is, I think he has done a good job. He's done a good job with a massive budget, but he's recruited well for Newcastle, because they've signed players that know the Premier League and know what it takes. Trippier, Dan Burn. They've got a couple of stars in there like Isaac and Gimaresh as well. But yeah, Eddie Howe's done a good job, and it just goes to show you that if we did get him as a manager, I think Celtic would be in a good place as well. But I'm very glad that we've got Ange Postecoglou at the helm.
Yeah, going back to David Turnbull, I mean, I always thought that Ange liked David Turnbull, because he used to always mention him whenever he was doing the roundup of maybe players that were coming back to full fitness or whatever, and obviously christened him the Bull. And, but he always used to give him a name check to let people know that he was still around the place. But it is a strange one. I mean, you can speculate as to whether he's been told to find a new club, but Pete Scally music saying that Turnbull is clearly not in Andy's plans. Time to offload non-contributors players and spend those wages wisely. I guess we'll find out in the fullness of time, because his deal runs out in the summer, doesn't it?
It ends next summer, so it's 2024 that he. But what I would say is very, very telling. Now, I was looking at the transfer market website, and that shows you how many 90 minutes a player has played, or it shows you the amount of minutes that a player's played. Turnbull's only started 3 games since the World Cup break, and 2 of them were in the League Cup, which baffled me. Because he was one of Ange's trusted lieutenants in his first season. He played every game until the League Cup final, and then he got injured during that game. I remember him celebrating with the crutches. So maybe just putting 2 and 2 together, but I think that there's maybe been negotiations during the World Cup break about a new contract. He's not accepted the new contract, and therefore his minutes have been limited. Maybe much like Abada as well, you could say. I think it's the same with Abada. I think his minutes have been limited because he's not pledged his future.
It's possible. It's very possible. And Turnbull leaving would mean low numbers for homegrown players for Europe. Got to J.J. McGarvey, Gordon Coney, maybe Turnbull's attitude has changed.
I think he's always looked keen when he's came on, but what I would say, and it's difficult. I don't want to start the whole body language sort of argument. But when he scored those 2 goals, remember he scored those 2 screamers in quick succession. He didn't really celebrate that much, which makes me think he was a bit. I don't know. You don't want to speculate too much because you don't want to put words in people's mouths and sort of put ideas. You don't want to put a sort of a reputation on somebody, but it could just be one of those things that it's the end of a cycle with Turnbull and he wants to leave and he can go to pastures new. But I will be disappointed because I remember the fanfare the season before we signed him. Then he obviously had his knee injury, or he had to have preventative surgery to stop him from potentially ending his career if he was playing a game, and that was to flare up. So he was out of the game for almost a year, came back, and then Celtic signed him, and then he was arguably the standout player that season, or the sort of shining light in a really, really bad season for the club. So yeah, I'm really disappointed that it's transpired this way, but wherever he goes, I hope he has a good career because it looks like as if he is on the way out.
Manchester Bogan MD says, I think Ange likes him as a player and a person, but Turnbull just isn't the type of midfielder that suits Ange's style. He's far too slow. Michael Ross says Turnbull's still young. He'll do a job for someone. And if Turnbull, AGSC Texas, Turnbull could add some pace at his age, he needs to be playing maybe a $5 million fee.
It's going to be difficult to get that with a year left in his deal, I've got to say.
Rogic didn't celebrate much when he scored.
That's true. He celebrated a lot in that cup final against Aberdeen, though.
Yeah, to be fair, he did. But yeah, I mean, a lot of that's kind of speculation. We're not sure about the future of David Turnbull. Celtic could still be in negotiations with him about a new deal. Just I think a lot of people are disappointed that he maybe has a larger contribution to make, but I just think it's the fact that there are better players in front of him in the pecking order at Celtic at this moment in time, and he's just not getting a look in because of that. So with a year left, it'll be interesting to see how Celtic play this, bearing in mind they do need a quota of homegrown players for the Champions League. So is that something that they're thinking about as well? And Marky saying a year left, you'd expect the club to have him tied up in a longer contract if he was staying. Yep. Lots of 2 and 2, 4 and 5 being speculated here, Ryan. So yeah, we'll see how that one pans out. Plunge McNugget coming in, young pup. Ryan as a statsman. You're a young pup now, the new statsman.
I'll take it, by the way. Not the. It's the first time I've been called a young pup in a couple of years. It's got 25 years old. I'll take it. I'm very happy to be following in the footsteps of Sean, who was the statsman previously.
He was the statsman, indeed. If you want to follow in those shoes, then so be it, fella. Good man.
That's one. That's one thing that has just going back to stats. One stat that has went up progressively in Turnbull's career at Celtic is his passing stats, because I think he was sitting at only 82% for pass accuracy in his first season. Then it went up to 85 and an 86 this season. So it does show a progression in his game, and it shows that he has improved under Postecoglou. His game has improved, but I think for me, his worst enemy, well, I know he's his teammate, but his worst enemy in terms of his Celtic career will be Rio Hatate, because he got injured in that League Cup final. Rio Hatate comes in the January, starts like a house on fire, goals against Hearts, goals against Rangers. And since then, Turnbull's not really started many games.
Yeah.
And that's just because of how good Rio Hatate's been. I think, and this is no slight on Turnbull, but Rio Hatate can do everything that Turnbull does, but quicker and in fewer movements, and that's why he's in the team ahead of him.
Better player.
He is. He just is. And it's a shame.
But it's no slight on Turnbull, but I think Rio Hatate is just seen as a better player by Ange Postecoglou, and as you say, can do these things bigger, better, sharper, and quicker. Michael Ross also saying, but look at Turnbull's stats, which you have done. one of the best midfielders at the club. Yep. And Mark, you saying Turnbull can move when he needs to. Just looks more relaxed than most players and more composed, but it can make him look lethargic. That's a fair point. Well made. 2. And Leslie coming in with your body language stuff, saying the Bulls look really distant and disengaged from celebration in the cup and the league clincher, sadly. And Turnbull also saying, but Haggerty needs rested too. So, yeah.
I think
Kaiser coming in, he just doesn't displace Haggerty with work rate.
No. That's the thing. Haggerty he almost feels like a luxury player, Haggerty, but he's got the work rate to go along with it. So he's the best of both worlds because he is the maverick in that midfield. He does make things happen, but he brings along the work rate, and so does Matt O'Reilly too. Matt O'Reilly probably does more defensive work than Turnbull would if he played in that position. That's just the way it is. I mean, in terms of Matt O'Reilly's pressures and defensive actions, he is up there every single game. It is surprising to see that, but it's just the way. I think it's the way O'Reilly moves about the pitch, but his defensive qualities cannot be sort of forgotten because he really does get stuck in.
Yeah. Andrew Galea in midfield might look completely different next season. Andrew will be looking to strengthen that area. That's something we'll cover over the course of the summer months. Pete McGee, he's just a quiet lad. He's not disengaged.
I think he is quite shy. Yeah.
Yep. And Curtis, we need a better cover for Haggerty. Turnbull wasn't built for this style, unfortunately. Turnbull also saying Maida is a brilliant work rate, but he can be really poor. And AGSC Tech saying Haggerty's in terrible form at the minute. He has these long phases. He's better consistency. And Pete McGee saying Matt O'Reilly covered admirably for Cal Mac. Enough said. So yeah, and Charlie McGarvey coming in saying Turnbull's behind Haggerty and Ryan McGregor at the moment. If we need anything in midfield, it's more physicality, something you and I touched on in the briefing last week, something you wrote about after we spoke about it on the briefing last week. So yes, this will all come out in the fullness of time. Seeing whether it's the end of Turnbull's Celtic career, if he's winding down his contract, but see if Celtic offer him a deal in the summer. Kaiser couldn't fit Turnbull in an advanced midfield role and play Carl as a sixth, but I don't know if the Bill can play there. He would certainly be a goal threat. So yeah, I mean, I think David Turnbull can be a goal threat, and I was surprised he never came on Saturday when they were looking for a goal. It's the kind of Callum McGregor scored the kind of goal that Turnbull could have provided, if you look at it in that sense. So you say to yourself, well, you know, if he's not going to come on in a game like that when you're crying out for it, as you spoke about earlier, then it's hard to see where he's going to get minutes from, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think he wasn't brought on because he is a player that, looking at the stats again, his turnovers in the middle of the park, he averages about 2 or 3 a game. That's quite big. See, especially when you're chasing an equaliser or chasing a lead, as we were. It's important for players to be settled on the ball and to be calm on the ball. And if you've got a player that maybe does give the ball away on occasion, especially moments like that, then it can be a problem. Maybe it's just the point that Ange doesn't really see it in him anymore, and he's not maybe giving him a false sense of hope by playing him, by giving him minutes. It's just one of those ones.
Yeah, Turnbull saying also that Turnbull's a good footballer. Not disputing David.
I don't think that's in doubt at all.
Very, very highly. I think he's an excellent footballer. I just think there are better footballers in front of him in the pecking order at Celtic at this moment in time.
What I would say is that if he was to get a move to the sort of high-end Championship down south or lower-end Premier League, I think he could be one of the best players in the Championship quite easily. I think he's got all the ability in the world to be a goal-scoring midfielder. I think he'd probably be played further up in the Championship, just due to his limitations playing further back. But as a goal threat down south, when you're playing every sort of 3 days, that can be so important for teams trying to make the grade and trying to make it into the Premier League. You could see a team like Norwich who were interested in him at the time that we were in for him first, coming back in for him. I know they'll probably have a sort of exodus of players in the summer, as they always do. So maybe that'd be a good move for him. Maybe one of the teams that are sort of going down from the Premier League, maybe a Watford, etc., that are trying to make it back into the Premier League. So yeah, but I think there'll be plenty of suitors. There'll be plenty of suitors for David Turnbull, but it's just all about getting the perfect fit for him. If he does decide to leave, he could turn around tomorrow and sign a new deal, and this would all be made redundant. But that's the joy of doing a Celtic podcast, I suppose.
You know that's exactly what's going to happen, right?
Oh, without a doubt now.
I agree. Turnbull's a very good player, says Michael Ross, and Ian McGregor saying give Turnbull a 3-year deal. So there we go. So lots of mixed emotions about Turnbull. He's still a Celtic player and he's still contracted to next summer. We will see what happens in the next few weeks. As Ian McGregor saying, just flick that one up. Boy is still young and has bags of talent. Totally agree. But I just think he's unfortunate at this minute. Celtic have a plethora of midfielders who are also got bags of talent, and JJ McGarvey saying Turnbull will move and will be a £15 million player down south, and we will all be raging.
That's the thing. He could be, but we could sign a player and then he'd be worth 25 million. So it's just all about these things. At the moment, I don't think it's worth signing Turnbull to like a new 3-year deal and then having him sit on the bench. That's no good for anybody. It's no good for Celtic. It's no good for Turnbull, the player himself, because he's got international aspirations. He was breaking into the team 2 years ago and getting sort of sub appearances. He'll be wanting to break in and become a starter. And I think the best possible place for that would be if he goes down south, plays 30, 40, 50 games a season, and then shows to Steve Clarke that he can do it. But yeah, at the moment, he's still a Celtic player, and if he does pull on the jersey, he'll have my full support. But I think he will go in the summer. That's just my own personal opinion.
Jerry O'Ross saying he likes Turnbull, he hopes he stays. And Robert Gibson saying if Bain gets 3 years, Turnbull should get 5 years if contribution has anything to do with it. Tongue in cheek there, I think, from Jerry. So yeah, we shall see. As I say, lots of comments coming in about Turnbull, but yeah, you may go in saying James Forrest should go before Turnbull. Wow. There you go. Controversial. And yeah, I mean, this is as I said, I'm pains to point out nobody has said anything to the contrary about David Turnbull staying or leaving. Just kind of speculation, maybe his future or not, as the case may be. But until the club comes out and says otherwise, then he remains a Celtic player. I hope he remains a Celtic player, and I hope he does sign a new deal, because I still think he has a lot to offer Celtic. But again, Celtic will be signing players in the summer as well, so you have to think that one of those areas they will strengthen in is the midfield, given what we spoke about last week. So we shall see him with more midfielders coming in place from further down the pecking order. You would have to say, yeah. So you're just looking, as I always say, Ryan, you're trying to connect dots, aren't you, and join lines. So that's what we do. But there you go. We shall see.
Yeah. I don't think he'll be the only midfielder to leave in the summer. That's all I'm going to say. I don't think he'll be the only one. I think there'll be quite a few, maybe 2 or 3. But that's just a position that constantly needs changing. That's just the way it is. The engine room always needs sort of fresh gas or fresh coal or whatever. So you need new players in there constantly in order to keep it fresh and efficient.
And the manager told you at the EGM, team has to be constantly evolving. So, and he never gets too attached. So he was warning the supporters not to get too attached. So if that means 1 or 2 heroes go out the door in the summer for other people to come in, so be it. That's just the way it is. That's the way things will be kept fresh all the time. The team has to be constantly evolving and progressing. So, well, I'm just looking at some of the comments coming in, but there you go. So we shall see. Oh, that's 40 minutes, and we haven't even touched upon the Hibs game, Ryan, tomorrow night. Celtic hopefully get back to winning ways in the Premiership. They will play Hibs at Easter Road, the penultimate game of the season, and then conclude the season with trophy presentation day against Aberdeen on Saturday before the Scottish Cup final on Saturday, June the 3rd. lots to look forward to even before the end of the season, and we shall be covering it all the way here on the Celtic Way. And as I say to you every day, if you've enjoyed today's broadcasting, why not take out a subscription and you can be part of it all. And all for the click of a button. It'll cost you £12 for 1 year of unlimited access to everything that we write on the site. And if you subscribe to the Celtic Way website, you'll be helping supporting top quality journalism covering the club you love. Myself, Ryan, and Aidan McDonald. We strive to provide that for you. £12, 1 year access. It's our best ever subscription deal. And all you have to do is click that button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. And all that remains for me to say is thank you, everybody, for your comments today. Excellent, really enjoyed that. Love taking everybody's point of view on board and flashing those comments up and getting the spectrum of views from all the Celtic supporters. And Ryan, thank you very much for your contribution. I think you're on day off tomorrow, are you not, sir?
I am, yes.
News duty, so with myself and Aidan on tomorrow on the briefing. So, but yes, have a terrific Tuesday. Hopefully see you for a wonderful Wednesday, guys. Thanks once again. But remember, hit that subscribe button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. £12 for a year of access. Can't say fairer than that. Take care. All the best.
Cheers, guys.